to Changing the Sales Game on webtalkradio.com. I'm your host, Connie Whitman. I'm thankful that you are here this week. So here's the deal. If you've been following the show for a while, my mission is to change or create a movement where that word sales isn't icky, right? But it really becomes an honorable job that we're doing out there, where we're serving and hopefully doing a good job at serving our community with whatever the products or services that you're selling. Here's the deal. To get better at sales at the core, it's all about communication. So in the show notes, I have a gift for you. It's my communication style assessment. 2 reports will be emailed to you. First one just will spotlight your highest score, which reflects your natural communication superpowers, how your message kind of organically ends for the person on the receiving end. Flip side, lowest score, potential blind spot. That's the one I really want you to kind of double down and read with a keen eye, because that skill or blind spot could be affecting when you're speaking to people 180 degrees different than you. So to me, that's the more important report. So again, in the show notes, my gift to you. I hope it helps you change your sales game with a little bit of ease and grace. Now, my quote today to set the stage for my guest and I that I chose is by Ryan Bezenek. And Ryan says, it's about making connections through the data that you might not have made as a human being. AI has the uncanny ability to tease out things about the consumer you might never have thought about. Now, I've been intrigued since I heard about ChatGPT a few years ago, and I'm always curious to continue to grow my personal understanding of the AI, and of course, how to use it in sales and how to use it within my business as well. So who is my amazing guest today that we are going to double down on AI and sales and the importance of both and how they can play together kind of nicely? My guest and I, we're going to actually discuss AI's transformative potential in sales and its ability to streamline sales strategies, provide actionable insights, and foster stronger customer relationships. Additionally, my guest is going to share insights on how AI can amplify sales success by identifying and leveraging internal network for warm introductions, ultimately boosting win rates and accelerating deal closures. So my guest is Nick Caruso. With over 20 years in tech startup, he's pioneered the use of AI across sectors like national security, finance, and Fortune 1000 companies. Nick has consistently leveraged AI for efficiency and innovation, from early collaborations with the U.S. intelligence through IQT to streaming the patent process at the U.S. Patent Office. Now, in 2019, he founded KnowledgeNet.ai to revolutionize organizational data analysis, empowering companies to harness intellectual capital for business growth. As co-founder and CRO, Nick showcases AI's roles in enhancing sales without overshadowing human connection. Holy smokes, I couldn't eliminate any of it because he's brilliant. Please help me welcome Nick to the show. So Nick, thanks for being on.
Great. Thanks, Connie.
Yeah, this is important, right? AI ain't going away.
No, it's becoming bigger and bigger. Before I actually go into that, I'm going to take a sideways though. You mentioned something about early on, you're trying to make sales not a dirty word. Is that what you used earlier? And I think, what's interesting is how many universities have sales as a degree that you can get. It amazes me. And I come actually from, my degree was in computer science. I came to sales via the route of a sales engineer. And I just felt I was doing all the work and the other guy was getting paid all the commissions, and that's where I made my jump and was successful from there. But it's really amazing though, right? I'm not aware of anyone or any university out there that's doing that. Are you?
Not at all. And it's funny because it's such an honorable profession if done right, right? So in my book, my philosophy with sales is if you're not coming from love, care, and respect, you're really doing it wrong. Because if we start foundationally there and just listen to the client, communication, right? Listen to the client, all of a sudden we're like, oh my gosh, not only can I help you with this, I can help you with these 3 other things. So we make more money. We help the client even on a bigger level, yet we look at that as, oh, icky salespeople. And I think it's wrong. I've never been an icky salesperson. You've never been an icky salesperson, right? We come from that place of service. I don't get it. I don't know why. I don't know why there's not a degree. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, yeah. And maybe we just got to get rid of these. I mean, I think that's where you get the titles account manager or enterprise account executive, because you're trying to get away with get around that sales title. But it's really a very honorable profession, and it's consultative coaching.
Yeah.
A lot of times you're the doctor going into that customer, and you're really there to help them, right? To help grow their business or whatever you're selling, help them, whatever the case is. And if you're pushing the wrong product into a customer's environment, well, that's your fault, right? Like that's where we all get a bad name. But
Yeah,
um,
I'm with you.
I think the internet is kind of making us honest, but then you also have a lot of those like fake reviews on the web and things like that. So we're back to that game all over again, right?
Yeah, it's a game. But if we do it with integrity, I really do think that people find us that we should be doing business with, and more importantly, that we want to do business with, right? Because the values align and all those things. So sales, the values have to be in alignment too, I believe. There's a lot that goes into it, but I think they should have a degree out there. And you and I should teach it.
Well, and the degree, there should be classes obviously in psychology.
Yeah.
As part of it. Certainly economics, a lot of business aspects to it.
Yeah.
And if you're going into technical sales, which a lot of sales are now, you have to understand things a lot, right? I mean, there's just so much to learn. And I sold into the federal government for a while, and I needed to know more about the procurement cycle in the federal government than a lot of people in the federal government, right? Because I had to hand walk the procurement through. And that's really in the case of every business you're selling. You need to understand how that customer is going to pay for your product or service. So there's so many aspects, and it's truly this multifaceted, very advanced. And at the end of the day, that's why sales reps get paid the most in a company, because they're valued the most.
Isn't that funny? And yet they don't teach sales in school when you can make money, but you can also serve your community, or with whatever, like with you, with the AI computer, you as a computer engineer, and being able to see, hey, this is how it could streamline your whatever. You're going to make more money on the back end. Our job is to generate revenue no matter what you're selling. So it's very counterintuitive that they don't have a degree, because every company has a sales force, period. Right?
Right. And there's certainly a lot of coaches out there doing a lot of coaching, which is fantastic. And it's great to see, but all these different sales methodologies that are out there, all this literature on it, it's truly fascinating. So maybe we'll see it over the next couple of years, a transformation into sales.
Yeah, let's hope. Let's hope from your lips, I tell you. So I want to really dig in, because I am so fascinated with everything that's happening with the AI. And I know, I deal mostly with banks and credit unions, and they're always afraid that they're going to get replaced. And I'll give you my response, and then I'm going to ask my first question. But I tell them, stay relevant. If someone says, hey, can you look on how to do, your response should be, sure, I will. Sure, I can. And that's how you remain relevant, because the AI is not going away, but neither are humans, right? Because we still need humans in the equation. I don't care what industry you're in. So talk to me about and explain, what is augmented intelligence in the context of artificial intelligence, and how it specifically applies. In this case, let's talk about sales.
Sure. So I've come up with the term. I mean, I'm sure I got it from somewhere else, but the A in AI should not be artificial. We should just throw that word out.
Oh,
There's nothing artificial per se about it. A lot of times it's just repeating what it has already learned from other human activity and so forth. But I like to say AI in an organization is augmented intelligence. It's there to augment your sales team. So here's a classic example. I'm working with a customer right now. They're a distributor of bearings, and there's little widgets, little circle things, and they have 20,000 part numbers. And that's a lot of part numbers. And when customers call up and they say, I have an RC car that I use in the dirt, and I really think I need to get better performance, blah, blah, blah. And what do you recommend? They have a sales rep on the other end of that line who got hired 2 weeks ago. That sales rep has no idea, how to answer that question, right? But we're able now to use AI to be a companion to that sales rep, to help that sales rep coach the rep and say, oh, what the customer means is they need this type of lubricant, they need this type of material, they need this type of grease. And therefore, these are the 3 types of bearings we recommend that you recommend to the customer. And by the way, this is the most expensive one, but this is the reason. And so try and coach the customer towards that. And that is a great example of augmented intelligence. So we're not replacing anybody, but we are augmenting that sales rep to make the sales rep so much more efficient.
And you see it all the time, right, Nick? The example, my son just moved out and moved in with his girlfriend, and they need a table for the dining area and limited space, etc. So I searched. I was trying to help them search. Now I'm getting tables all over the place because the AI, right, whatever algorithm these companies have, now saw that I was interested and they're sending me those products. So the AI really can help the consumer, but it can also help. Given your example with the ball bearings, I think that's an important piece because we do have turnover, and we have turnover in all positions, but in sales we have turnover. So how do you get a body in there that's effective right out of the gate and not giving bad information? Because now that client's going to be like, they're morons at that company. They sold me the wrong thing. So instead of doing a good job, we've done a bad job, and we could potentially lose the client. So getting people up and running fast really matters. So that's a great example. Any other examples like that? I think people can get their head around those visual type of examples. Do you have any others?
Yeah. So actually that ball bearing one, what was interesting about that is that you were spot on. There's a lot of high turnover with employees, right? Ideally, you want a person that's going to be there for 20, 30 years, that's that subject matter expert on the line with the customer. But the reality is you're getting turnover of a person every 1 to 2 years. Right. So how do you have this institutional knowledge that's capturing the knowledge of your organization? So great point that you brought up there. So the second one is, if you look at employee productivity on an annual basis in this country, it's actually quite amazing. And I don't know the exact numbers, but as an example, the average American in the 1970s contributed, let's just say, $100,000 on average to a business, right? That was the average employee productivity. Now it's up to like $150,000, $200,000 per business. And it's actually higher than inflation. So our average American employee per year productivity is going up and up. So now the question is, with AI, with augmented, keeping the same people that you have, how do you continue that hockey stick growth? So if there are CEOs listening to this podcast, right? CEOs, presidents, and so forth, it's like, okay, I don't want to get rid of people. I love my team. I love my people. I'm invested in them. But imagine if I could double the size of my business with the same team I have today. And that's where augmented intelligence comes in. It's giving your people superpower capabilities. So here's an example. You had mentioned ChatGPT. Have you used ChatGPT yourself?
Yes.
Okay. And can you give me an example of what you use ChatGPT for?
Yes. So it's a great question. So my assistant, we do a newsletter every week, and I do 4 sales tips. So she'll say to me, I need the 4 sales tips. My response every time, Nick, I have 1,000, 1,000,000 of them. And she goes, what's the matter? I go, give me a topic. What sales? I have 5 million in my head, 40 years doing this. And she'll give me a topic. I go, okay, I'm on it. And then I go to ChatGPT and I put in, and I think, let me just see what's out there, right? That people are researching. And then I don't ever use what they send me because I think it's more simple than I like to give more action oriented tips. So, but then I look through and I think, oh, I like that word. And then I go and I write my tips based on, but I extract a couple of pieces of what ChatGPT gives me. And then I create my own sales tips. So they're still mine, but I use, because it's, Nick, 40 years doing this. When you say, can you give me 4 tips? No, I can't. So it just grounds me. So that's how I use ChatGPT. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So you're interfacing it with it. It's tapping into its incredible knowledge. It's returning information to you, and then you're sifting it through there. So what we do, and I'm going to get to your answer of another example use case, but what's the largest company you've ever worked at, Connie?
Me personally?
Yeah. Or consulted with. Let's say consulted on a sales perspective.
Probably TD Bank, maybe 20 years ago. They were big.
Okay, TD Bank. So TD Bank has a lot of products they offer, right? When I mean products, I mean like different types of mortgages, et cetera, right?
CDs, whatever. Mm-hmm.
And in those products, and they have also different groups within TD. They have a high wealth group. They may have
Yep.
whatever commercial
Lenders,
et cetera. And in all those groups, they probably have a bunch of case studies, maybe white papers, PDFs, videos, all that type of information that they're trying to arm their account reps or their sales reps in understanding that information and then delivering it to the client, right? As a sales leader, I've always been challenged with ensuring that my sales reps have the most relevant information at the right time to present to the client. An example is we closed a large hospital in Florida in 1 week. The following week, I'm on a pipeline, and we wrote a case study about that. The following week, I'm on a pipeline call with my sales rep out in California. And I'm saying, oh, by the way, did you reference the case study about the big deal in Florida that we closed? And the California sales rep says, what case study? What deal, right? And I think this is a very common problem. It's just because they're inundated with information, right? Yeah. Where augmented intelligence can come in, and it does come in, is it can listen in on conversations on these webinar, like on these Zoom calls. You can have them recorded.
Yep.
And the AI can pick up on the recording, understand the context of the recording and what was discussed, and recommend to that sales rep the most appropriate material to follow up with the customer, right? So that's a great example of augmented intelligence where, more than 60 to 70% of an average sales rep, they're wasting time doing administrative things.
Yes.
Right. So like my initial example with the bearings, the ball bearings, it's okay. I understand the customer's requirements. They have an RC car. Now I have to go talk to somebody else. So I have to research what would be good for an RC car. I have to search our database of 20. Could you imagine it just automatically recommending that? Could you imagine automatically recommending the best case study for a sales rep to automatically return back to the client? So it's closing that time to sale. You're interfacing with a customer. Could you address their requirements right now on the phone or on the call? If not, within a few minutes after the call, having the augmented intelligence recommend the most appropriate content to get back to the client.
It's mind blowing, and it's so efficient. And now I can do what I'm to do, which is communicate why this is important to the client using those white papers or whatever it is, right?
Right. But we're not replacing the sales rep. I mean, I'm not, I think SDRs will be SDR/BDRs. They have a much higher probability of being replaced. The advances in voice, AI voice assistance is incredible. You're going to see ChatGPT just released their own native capability for that a couple days ago.
Interesting.
And that's going to be the first to go. But I think the higher paid sales rep where you do need a high level of emotional intelligence, you do need to engage, that's never going to go away.
Yeah, agree. The simple stuff. You and I can Google and find and buy in seconds, where there's more complex processes or things that I need or potentially need. I might not know. It's like going to the doctor. They like, remember during COVID, you couldn't go to the doctor and they were like, oh, stick out your tongue. I'm like, can you really see through the Zoom call? Right. Like, you get where I'm going. Sometimes I think we still need the human factor for obvious reasons. Right.
Well, absolutely. And so much of, especially the larger sales, but so much of sales are relationship-based selling.
Yep. Agree.
And if you're going to, and I think you're going to, companies, certainly there are going to be some businesses where it's all transactional. You're selling a widget or whatever. Sure. But any sort of sale, whether it could be even like replacing, like the roof of your house or whatever, it's that person that was knocking on the door, building that relationship, leveraging. I mean, I post reviews on the person that fixed my roof, and I had a friend a town over said, oh, I saw your review, and that was the reason why, I went with them. Right. So nothing's going to replace that, certainly anytime soon. But I challenge all of your listeners, you have to get into the game now on using AI.
Yep.
And AI can mean a lot of different things. And there's lots of different areas that AI can be involved in, but it's getting involved in it in some capacity now because the tech is only going to get better and better and better.
Fast.
Yeah. Like that bearings example I gave you before. Imagine we have this incredible capability, and the CEO, once we deployed it, was just flabbergasted. He was just like, oh my gosh, this was incredible, because it was giving like this nuanced answer as to why it was recommending this bearing, and it wasn't just like reading bullet lines. It was Shakespearean in the way it was recommending the bearing based upon situations, and it was giving the sales rep now so much more confidence. Apart from seeing, okay, yeah, we got, this one for $23 and we got 10 on file. It was solution-based selling, as we talked about earlier on, right? And he was just floored by it. Now imagine what's incredible now is every year that assistant, that AI, is just going to get better and smarter and better and better and better.
Yeah.
Which is really incredible. Like, we actually, when we were testing this with the client gave us a set of, here's what it should answer. And one of the answers that the assistant was giving was wrong. And we couldn't figure out it was wrong. And we were like, why is it wrong? Why is it recommending the wrong answer and so forth? And it was because the assistant actually had gained knowledge from the Food and Drug Administration that had just approved a type of grease that could be used in a food processor. And the assistant knew that answer. And you couldn't, these sales reps that, they're getting paid $60,000, $70,000 a year, but they're being augmented by this genius AI capability that just makes the whole organization so much smarter now.
Yeah. And we get there faster. We can make it, it speeds up the sales process, which is amazing, because I don't say, oh, I know we have that documentation or we have that information, I'm going to have to look for it and send it to you. Disconnect versus being just be able to articulate it immediately right in the moment with the client, where the client's curious and engaged, where we can really capitalize on the emotion, but also the quick reply. It's top of mind. Let's answer it. Let's move forward. So I love that. So are there any challenges, Nick, that you see, or risks that are associated with deploying this type of augmented intelligence, like you described with the ball bearing situation, and can those challenges or risks be mitigated?
Sure. Yeah. No, I'll use the same case study as an example. When we first started on that project, are you familiar with the term hallucination within AI?
No, I don't think I am.
Okay. So here's about a year ago, a lawyer, true story, I think it was out of Texas, discovered ChatGPT. Loved ChatGPT, said this is going to be transformative for my business. So he asked ChatGPT, he was working on a case, to write up a brief or something to deal with it. And he had to submit that then to the court. So maybe it was his opening statement or his response or whatever. So the judge gets this document from him, and the judge is reading it. And he's like, well, this is very interesting. And it referenced case numbers, case law, because he was trying to defend his client using, other cases. And the judge is like, I'm not familiar with these cases. And he searches in his database, and these cases don't exist. And so ChatGPT is notorious for hallucinating. For example, you can ask ChatGPT, who's on the board of Microsoft, right? It may give you the right answer, but chances are maybe one of the five, it just completely made up. So ChatGPT is good to help you with articles. It's good to help like Wikipedia type things. But if you ask it very specific things, it can start hallucinating because it's more of a generalist. So for example, are you familiar with this strawberry thing going around? This has been kind of interesting. If you ask ChatGPT how many R's are in the word strawberry, well, there are 3, one at the front, 2 in the back. It is usually emphatic in telling you that there are only 2. And you can go back. So once we're done with this, you can try it. Maybe they already fixed it, but go to ChatGPT and say how many R's are in the word strawberry, and it will tell you there are 2. And then you'll say, no, there are 3. and they'll say, no, you're wrong. Usually you'll say, I'm sorry, but you're wrong. And it's just because it's just the way that the AI just generalizes certain things. And so really what it's doing is those last two R's at the end, it's basically saying, we don't need those two. We can just put one in there, right?
Yeah.
So when we were working with a bearing company, we had something very similar. So it would give really good recommendations, but end up making up part numbers. So because it was generalizing, right? It was like, so we overcame that. There's ways to overcome it, and we overcame it. And we, if you're familiar with the term APIs and things like that, we're able to do it. But yeah, you do have to be careful on things like that. So if you're thinking about using like systems like ChatGPT, just don't upload like 20,000 products and just think it's going to do great on that. Right. And there's a whole, consulting world out there that can help you, navigate those obstacles.
So with all of everything is moving so quickly in that whole world. Like you said, now ChatGPT, they were able to go back and edit from two R's in strawberry to 3. Okay. How do you see this relationship between sales professionals, right? Sales peeps out there, pounding the pavement, and the technology that's evolving around this, and it's becoming more sophisticated fast, right? How do you see that relationship continuing to kind of evolve and develop? Is it going to take off without us, I guess, is the question, right?
Yeah, no, I think we're in this AI revolution. I'm really curious what people were like in the industrial revolution when they were sitting on their farms and were like, how is this going to evolve? And I'm not sure they knew where it was going, right? And I don't know necessarily where this is going. What I can say is in the last year, where it comes to AI, a lot of where I'm spending a lot more time now is on automation, using AI to automate processes. And I'm really excited about that. So for example, building your top of funnel. So what are examples of automating top of funnel, right? I mean, isn't that the dream of every business, that they can just, sleep and their top of funnel is growing? Yeah. So I'm sure you're a big LinkedIn user, like probably a lot of people on listening in. What we can do now is, and I've always been doing this in some capacity, I follow my competitors, right? It's a good idea to keep an eye on what your competitors are doing on LinkedIn. And I used to say, okay, well, who's liking the posts that my competitors are making, right? Who are they engaging with? What events are my competitors are going to? Or maybe not competitors, but maybe it's just other thought leaders in my space. Well, wouldn't it be amazing to automate the process of taking all the individuals that are engaging with those thought leaders? Now, so let's say now I have 10,000 people that are in my space that are engaged. Maybe today, 10,000 people were engaging in my space. No company has the time to go through each of those 10,000 to see, do they fit my ICP? Yeah. Right? Because you'd have to click on them, then go to the company, look at the company. And when I say ICP, ideal customer profile, right? Mm-hmm. And so imagine if you could use augmented intelligence to every day go through LinkedIn, look at all the posts that are relevant to your industry, look at each person engaging with those posts, liking them, etc. Triage if they fit your ICP, and then automatically engage with them by sending them an email or sending them a LinkedIn connection request, or however you want to do it, right? But wait, it would be really embarrassing if it sent a LinkedIn request to somebody or you sent them an email to somebody you just engaged with or is an existing client. So now what if you had AI to automatically say, oh, wait a minute, you or somebody on your team has been emailing this person already or is connected to them. So let's just notify you that they're active on LinkedIn. And if they're not, if they're brand new, automate, putting them into a sequence. So that to me is a great example of an automation workflow.
I love it. Time saving, clear, and you go through the filters, right? So if I'm already engaging over here, it doesn't spit out another email, because then I look stupid and I look, well, they're using automation, it's not real, right? That becomes that subconscious response. We're almost out of time, but I do have one more question. Do you think that all of this that's going on could it create new jobs, or do you think it's just going to change the ones exist, or are they going to eliminate jobs or a combination therein, right?
Yep. Some jobs will go away. So I do think, especially companies that have large amounts of SDRs, I think that's going to go whittle down because there'll be a lot more automation from that perspective. But there are so many new jobs that are getting created. If you just go out there and you search how many AI companies are starting up right now, or AI consulting firms, like everything I'm talking to you about right now, there are entire consulting firms that didn't exist 2 years ago that are all about helping companies. Like our average customer size for KnowledgeNet is a company that has 1 to 3 salespeople. And and what's so exciting is we are like that bearing company I was telling you about. They have like 2 sales reps, right? So we're not talking about super expensive solutions. This is something that can really transform small businesses to be so much bigger than they are today. And that's just, for me, I find that so fulfilling to be participating in that level of growth, that hockey stick curve growth in America, that where AI can just totally fuel our next generation of growth.
It's exciting. It's just so exciting. And, being older, my peers say, oh, the technology is beyond me. I say, shame on you, because it's not going away, but you're making yourself irrelevant really fast. You don't have to understand everything, but understand what's happening and potentially how you can use it, because it might free up time in your day that you could do the more important things or prioritize with even a more critical eye. So you get more done because you have the AI supporting the monotony, the admin type of things, like you were saying with that LinkedIn, to be able to do that. And so you have these ideal client profiles that you could tap into, but who's got the time to look through 10,000 manually? You're done. You're not going to do anything else, let alone have conversations to make sales, because you're stuck with the admin of looking and refining and all of that. And I mean, we did that when I started 40 years ago, where we bought lists and had to scrub lists, and it was time consuming, and we had less time with the client because we were doing more of that, but you had to do that in order to get in front of the right people. Now it's being done for you. Like, this to me is exciting stuff, Nick. Like, wow, I wish I had this 40 years ago. I'd be a bazillionaire by now.
Well, imagine, the world before, before cell phones, right? Like how much slower we were back then without cell phones, right? So this is so much, your life can be so much better, so much faster. Your sales reps can close so much more deals than they were before. It's just an incredible capability.
It's fun, man. That's the fun part, right, of our job, is talking to people and getting to know people and then finding that perfect solution. That's exciting. This is why we do it. I have one last question, and I don't know if you can answer it. Do you see a specific job or industry kind of going away because it's going to truly become obsolete?
That's a good question.
I don't know. That's okay.
No, certainly. You're going to find, you're probably seeing this now on doctor's appointments and things like that, that they're automatically texting you to remind you to go to that doctor's appointment.
Yes.
Which personally I love. I think it's fantastic, right? So those type of, to your point earlier, those type of administrative tasks, whether they be in sales or customer support or things like that, will go away. But I have to tell you, I would love to make a phone call to a customer support desk where it's AI, but it's actually a person I can understand, and it gives me a good answer right away. Yeah. So I don't care if it's a bot from that perspective, right? So I think those types of roles, like we're working with a customer who has, they're selling filters, error replacement filters. Okay. They already have an existing customer base. They're all their existing customers. They originally had a person making 100 phone calls a day, calling the customers and saying, "Would you like a new replacement?" Right? You don't need a human to be doing that, right? Well, so that type of job will go away, because wouldn't it be better to get an AI person to make that call? But that AI assistant knows everything about the customer, knows exactly what products they purchased, because you and I know those people that are just calling 100 people a day. When the person actually picks up the phone, they're quickly going on their computer to try and pull up the information, and they're stalling the client and so forth. They're not providing value add. Nope. So AI can do so much better of a job than that.
See, but there it goes again. These people still have knowledge of that company, how can you parlay that knowledge by embracing the AI, but maybe making your job more relevant in another way? But by burying your head and saying, la, 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 it's not here and it's not going to affect me. That's what aggravates me when my peers say that, oh, it's too much. Well, then retire. Like, right, that's my answer. Then retire, because it's not going away. You're going away, right? You have a choice. You're at a crossroad here, remain relevant or not. And hey, man, if you're ready to retire, cool, go for it. But if you think you still have some, something to bring to the table for the younger generation, the company you work for, whatever it is, then we have to become well-versed in understanding. And I'll make you laugh. I know we're out of time, but I'll make you giggle. So I remember the first time I had used the ChatGPT, and we had dinner, and I said to my kids, so this ChatGPT, have you guys used it? There was like whiplash. They looked at me at the end of the table. They go, how do you know about that? I go, I know all. They were so impressed. Doesn't happen often, but they looked at me and they go, Ma, good for you. Like, that's good for you. I have to, right? And I want them to understand, even though they're, in their 20s, you have to be a lifelong learner. You have to remain relevant, and whatever that means as your lifetime goes on. But at my age, I don't want to stop learning, because I feel like then you're already shriveling up and dying. Again, that's my perspective. That's how I kind of approach learning and being a lifelong learner. But yeah, make you laugh with that. My kids were shocked, Nick. They were like, good for you.
Oh, no, that's fantastic. And I was telling my kids, they're both in college now. They were, I think, anyway, but yeah, I was telling them right away, you need to embrace this. You need to, because even my wife is a microbiologist, at a big pharmaceutical, and I've been pushing her to use AI and ChatGPT and things like that, because I'm telling her, the kids coming out of college now, they're going to join your workforce, and they're going to have this expert companion that can be so much more productive than you are. And so she's embraced it, which is fantastic. And it's really helped her make her job more productive.
I love it.
Yeah.
We can all use it in some way. The idea is you have to be interested and try to figure this out, or you could call Nick. So here's the deal. Please check out Nick's website. It's knowledgenet.ai. Or if you have a specific question for Nick, absolutely reach out to him at his email, which is nick.caruso@knowledgenet.ai. And also, I know if they connect with you on LinkedIn, you're willing to do what?
Yeah, I absolutely love helping people, like helping them be more productive and so forth. So feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I would challenge everyone on your audience, if they're not using or thinking about how to use ChatGPT or other AI solutions to help grow their business, just think about it. Reach out to me. Happy to consult with you. If I can do it where it helps my business too, great. But if not, happy to just point in the right direction.
Yeah. And sometimes that's all we need. Right, Nick? It's not always about the business, but if we serve and we share, the right people find us, because now they're like, oh, I learned this really cool thing. And then the person says, oh my God, I've been looking for that. And all of a sudden it comes full circle. So helping and caring, that's really, I think, how sales happens just organically. And we create this beautiful passive income with zero effort. It's just called doing the right thing. Yep. Wow, what a concept, right?
And it's fun. And it's fun.
And it's fun. Yeah, I love it. So everybody, I will put all that information in the show notes. Please reach out to Nick. Check out his website. See what inspires you. But I agree, you have to check this out. Be curious, whatever that means for you. But don't bury your head. Now is not the time to do that, because the world is changing and you just don't want to be left behind, even with your grandkids or great grandkids yet to come. So Nick, thank you so much I've learned so much today. I didn't know about the hallucinations, so that was cool. And about the strawberries. I'm going to hang up and do that. I'm going to check it out now. So really a delight chatting with you. Thank you so much for sharing your zone of genius with us. And I love when I learn something new too. It's fun. So thanks. This is a good show. I appreciate your time.
Great. Thanks, Connie.
Yeah, thank you. And I hope you will join me weekly as we question, build, and discover, no matter where you are on changing your sales game. My guests and we have pretty good ideas. We have some really good stories. And of course, we have good resources for you. Here's the deal. Information's a beautiful thing. If you do nothing with it, it's just information in your brain. When you take one of the calls of action, connecting with Nick, looking into ChatGPT, whatever it is, based on our conversation today, that action, I promise you, creates reaction. Magic happens, business happens, life becomes easier, and just wonderful things come to you. So again, please take the information, do something with it, and good things are going to happen. That's my gift to you as well. Thank you for tuning in to Changing the Sales Game with me, your host, Connie Whitman, on webtalkradio.com. I am truly honored that you join me every week on the show, and I do hope my guests and I provide content that gets you thinking, maybe how to do something a little bit differently. So thank you again, Nick. Thank you for tuning in. I love you all. I'll see you next week. Have a great one, everybody.